Hi everyone, it's a pleasure to welcome you to my story web channel. Today I present to you my author's story. Subscribe so you don't miss the release of the next video. Enjoy watching. Ellie had been happily married for almost a decade or so, she thought. Her husband, Mark, was reliable, supportive, and everything a good partner should be. But when she received that message from him, an old flame she hadn't spoken to in years, it stirred something she thought had long been buried. They had a history, one marked by passion, adventure, and moments so intense they nearly burned out. The message came one evening while she was cleaning up after dinner. It was simple. Ellie, passing through your town. It's been ages, want to catch up? White fluff. Her breath hitched as her eyes landed on those last two words. White fluff, their private code back in the day for the small blissful moments and life they shared, like lying together on the beach, watching the clouds, or snub-bled in bed during a snowstorm. It was a relic from a time when they were young, free, and spontaneous, where everything seemed possible even when their relationship fizzled out. Ellie stared at the message. Her heart raced in a way it hadn't for a long time. She quickly typed back, "Hey stranger, it really has been a long time. White fluff. Huh? How can I say no? Sure, let's meet. Saturday sound good." She felt the rush of adrenaline as she hit send. Her mind was flooded with memories, those long car rides, busy Sunday mornings. The way they couldn't keep their hands off each other. But it had also been exhausting. It eventually worn each other down, despite how well they fit together in many ways. That night she couldn't sleep. Mark was snoring beside her, completely oblivious. She tellin'. She even meek her old flame, it wasn't cheating, right? Just a coffee. But deep down, Ellie knew that the emotional thrill she was feeling was dangerous. Saturday came, and instead of saying she was meeting him, Ellie casually mentioned that she was meeting a friend at the bookstore. Mark didn't think twice about it, though he did comment, "You've been in a great mood lately. Good to see you so energized." Her mind flashed back to the message, how it had reignited something she thought had long been extinguished. As she left the house, Ellie couldn't help but feel a pang of guilt, but she brushed it off. After all, it was just coffee. When they met, it was like no time had passed. This space was a little more weathered, but his smile was still leasing. It laughed easily, reminiscing about their wild past, how they once road-tripped across the country on a whim, how they got lost in a forest and ended up spending the night under the stars. It was as though their chemistry never faded. As they talked, the air between them grew thick with unspoken emotions. He reached across the table, his hand brushing hers. For a moment, Ellie felt herself falling back into the intoxicating connection that once had. Just as quickly, she pulled away. "Ellie, I thought about you. A lot, actually," he admitted, his voice soft but heavy with meaning. Ellie bit her lip. She had too. The truth was, her marriage had become routine. She loved Mark, but the passion she had once felt had dulled over the years. Here, with this man from her past, she felt alive again. But she couldn't do it. She loved Mark, didn't she? They kissed. It was brief, tentative, but enough to stir her. She didn't cross the line that day, but it took everything in her to hold back. She left the cafe that afternoon feeling exhilarated and guilty all at once. At home, Mark was as warm and steady as ever. The contrast between the excitement of her afternoon and the calm of her marriage was jarring. That night, lying in bed beside him, Ellie couldn't shake the feeling that she was losing control, not just of her emotions but of her entire life. This passed, and though nothing physical happened beyond that kiss, the emotional affair continued. Ellie found herself daydreaming about him, imagining what life would have been like if they'd made it work. She wondered if she was settling with Mark, or if she just missed the thrill of something new. Mark noticed a change. Even distant lately, he said one evening as they sat at the dinner table. Ellie tried to brush it off, but eventually, the guilt became too much. "It's nothing," she muttered, unjust, confused. Mark didn't press her further, but the distance between them grew. He could sense something was wrong, but he didn't know how to fix it. And Ellie, lost in her own turmoil, couldn't find the words to explain. 2 years later, everything crumbled. The quiet, emotional tug of war Ellie had been and finally pulled her to the edge. Her marriage, once strong and reliable, felt like a shadow of what it had been. She hadn't seen asterisk in months, but the emotional impact of their brief reunion lingered. One night after too many drinks, Ellie admitted to Mark that she couldn't go on pretending. Everything was fine. They fought, cried, and then fought some more. It was messy and painful, but in the end, Ellie packed her bags. She didn't go at asterisk, but the damage had been done. The last 2 years had been like a slow burn, and now the fire had consumed them both. Mark, devastated, tried to cope in his own way, turning to alcohol more often than not. After once perfect life crumbled, and soon enough, 2 families were broken. Ellie's, and the one he had built after they parted ways so many years ago. Update: 2 years after Ellie's affair, Mark still struggles with the aftermath. He's picked up the pieces, but the scars are deep. Ellie remarried, though the love she once felt within never quite rekindled. Their love story, which have once burned so brightly, ended in ashes. Comments: Sarah K. Wow, this hit hard. Sometimes we think we can handle the what-if moment. When it spirals out of control, you think you'll be the last one. Tom Fallon, Bob. I feel for Bob. The emotional affair is often more damaging than people think. Just another reader. This story is so real. It's painful how quickly things can fall apart, even when there's no ill intent. Mom, I don't know if I could forgive Ellie. It's not just about the kiss, but how she emotionally distanced herself from her family. Subscribe if you're okay.